Hello, my name is Pinky is Crazy, and today I got a story for you. But before we get into that, I'm gonna need you to go down and click that like button. If you don't click that like button, a ghost is gonna creep into your room tonight and tickle your toesies, and we know we don't want that. Unless you're just into feet fetishes. Second, go ahead and comment. Go straight down to the comment section and leave a story that may have happened that was creepy or may have how it impacted you. And also tell me about a time that you've seen a ghost and were absolutely terrified. Third, subscribe. Subscribe to my channel. It lets me know that you like content like this and that you'll see content like this as I'll be posting out more. So hit that notification button. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get right into the story. On the very far left, you see Johnny. Johnny is a saint slash troublemaker. He has a very hard time with choosing the right things and the wrong things to do. He is 13 years old and is currently in ninth grade. He ended up failing a grade back in the 5th grade because he kept getting into fights and causing too much trouble. On the far right is Harry. Harry is a good guy and a loyal friend. He'll back you up in a fight, no problem, and tell you often later on to let you know if you're in the right or wrong. Harry is 12 years old and is in ninth grade and has not been held back, and in fact, he's looking at a very bright future as we go on. The next one in the middle is Butch. Butch is in 10th grade. He's 14 years old, and he's a tough guy plus loving friend. In fact, he's the reason that these two, Harry and Johnny, are such great friends. After all, he caught them two fighting back in the 5th grade and stopped them. So that's Butch, a loving, caring friend. Alright, now that we know the characters, let's go ahead and hop into our story. And it begins where Johnny, Butch, and Harry are all in their 4th period history class, and they're in the back having a great time while Harry is listening to the lecture by their teacher, while Johnny is half listening. Butch senses in on this and throws out an idea. Hi, hey guys, do you know that there's a house on a hill right past where we walk at? I've noticed it's been abandoned for a while, and I've asked the locals about it. They have told me that that house was abandoned and that there might be some scary entities in there. After throwing this out, Johnny was quite intrigued and completely ignored the lesson and went straight into Butch's idea. Yeah, that sounds great. When can we go? Well, Butch interjected and said, well, why not today? And Harry, listening to the lecture, and his friends interjected as well. That's breaking and entering, vandalism, and trespassing. Butch wasn't having none of it and quickly shut that down. Well, aren't you just a party pooper, he said to Harry. Harry looked back down with his brow raised and said, well, unfortunately, I'm not trying to get a very dirty record, unlike you, who have already has arson on there. Well, Butch snorted and said, well, you're just no fun. Johnny started to persuade Harry. Harry would be great fun. You'll be able to relax. And Harry was having none of it really fast. Harry let him know that they have homework tonight and that he's in a couple of advanced classes that he needs to write some papers for. Well, Johnny sat there and Butch looked at him. And as they looked over at the clocks, they noticed the clock was just about to ring. As the bell rung, they all got up, grabbed their books, and walked out of the building. And as they were walking out of the building, Johnny and Butch made a plan. Let's walk up the hill. While Harry is following, Harry will have to follow because Harry is the concerned, loving, loyal friend, and we know he wouldn't leave his friends behind. So, as they were talking among each other, they finally reached the house. Finally reaching the house, as they were walking, Butch and Johnny started to walk up the trail, as Harry stepped back, reluctantly watching his friends walk up to the house. He more reluctantly started to follow behind, saying, "The only reason I'm following you is because I care for you and I don't want y'all to cause any troubles." As they walk up to the house, they look in and peer in through the windows. It is very dusty. There are spider webs all around the house. It is dark, even with the sunlight peering in. Johnny walks over to the door and tries to open it, and it just won't budge. Johnny walks over to the window and tries to open it. Butch stands there and pulls out a pack of cigarettes that he had in his jacket pocket. He opens the cigarettes and pulls one out and puts it against his lips, and then magically appears a lighter from his right side pocket. He then lights up a cigarette and starts puffing on it. Johnny smells the cigarette and turns around and says, "Let me get some of that, fool." Johnny reluctantly gets a little closer as Butch gives him the crazy eyes. Like, "This is my cigarette, not yours." Johnny said please one more time and says, "Please, Butch, just let me get a hit, bro." And Butch reluctantly hands the cigarette to Johnny. Johnny takes a few hits. Johnny gets really nicotine high and just starts feeling really dizzy. He gives the cigarette back to Butch as he starts puffing on it. Butch looks to his left, he looks to his right, turns around, looks at the road, and kicks the door with his boots on, knocking the door inside. Butch takes a step inside while Johnny follows behind him. After Harry looks inside, he reluctantly steps into the house. It looks extremely creepy. Cobwebs on the left side, while the door to the right is closed, and the door in the front leads to a hallway that is also closed. Butch kind of looks around and steps in to the creepiness. To the left, they look up at the stairs and they kind of just stare for a minute in awe of the place. Then, stepping a little bit forward in, Butch says, "I have a story to tell you guys." What I left out earlier while I was talking to the locals, I actually asked them about this house. And this house was known to have a murderer here. And that murderer was also murdered by one of the witnesses that seen him murder their own daughter. So in this home, we are in the presence of a murdered house. Well, Harry didn't definitely like that, and he let him know quickly, "I want to get out of here." Well, Johnny was like, "Wuss, you need to stay and come join us and see what's going on." They take a few steps in, step in on the cobwebs, and look down. And when they look down, they notice there's a black stain on the floor. And as they notice the black stain, they kind of just stare at it in disbelief. Johnny says, "Yo, Butch, you know what this is?" Butch looks at him and says, "Must be where he was murdered at." Harry says, "Quit joking," in a very nervous, laughing manner as he kind of chuckle off that that's what it is. Butch steps forward and bends over, picks it up, and smells it. As he does this, he hears some noises coming from the bathroom to the right. Harry looks over, and Johnny looks shook, while Butch is a little shooken up too, looking in the doorway. Johnny says, "Butch, go check it out." Butch is not having it and looks over at Harry and goes, "Hey, chimp, why don't you go check what's in that bathroom?" Harry, being the brave young man he is, kind of walks to the door reluctantly while he hears whispers that he can't quite make out. They're extremely distorted, and he looks over at the guys and he says, "Do y'all hear that?" And they shrug and say, "I don't know what you're talking about." Well, Harry goes and looks into the bathroom, and when he looks in, he doesn't see anything. So he takes a step inside while Johnny and Butch watch. Harry stepped into the bathroom reluctantly, mustering up his braveness. He looks up and sees that there's an open ceiling light where the sunlight is feeding in, touching every crevice of the bathroom. Looking to the left, he sees that there's a photo. A maker of art, a lover of art, he goes over and looks into the photo. He can't quite tell what it is as it's been molded over and has been badly sun damaged. He looks down and kind of looks into the toilet that looks like somebody just threw up all their guts into it. He goes, ick, and looks over into the sink, which looks like it's been a stewish for a long, long time and hasn't been used in a while. He looks into the mirror, and when he looks into the mirror, he kind of sees that there's a silhouette behind him. Turning around really fast, his heart's pumping, and he doesn't see anything. And he catches something in his eye again. He turns and looks into the bathtub, and in the bathtub is a figure standing there. As he goes to scream, the figure engulfs Harry. Harry is gone. Butch and Johnny hear Harry screaming for a bloody murder. Butch, being the trust-tuffing friend he is, goes running into the bathroom as Johnny stands mortified in the back, completely paralyzed, not able to move from the sounds of his friends screaming. Butch, running into the bathroom, sees Harry levitating and being disfigured in the air. Blood is squirting all over the place, and he is absolutely traumatized. Looking back to Johnny, he screams at him to get out of the house. Butch and Johnny ran out the house so fast that they were gone like the wind. As they reached outside, they just kept running down the hill until they ran into a payphone. Johnny had a couple quarters from early on from where he got lunch. Butch also had a couple quarters from where he got lunch. They used those quarters in the machine to call 911. As they called 911, they told them what had happened. They tell them what they saw and what had happened in the house. Well, the police ended up showing up about 30 minutes later with them sirens blaring while there was 2 cop cars following behind. They pulled up, had their guns raised, and told Johnny and Butch to raise their hands. As they raised their hands, one officer went in and cuffed Butch and put him in the back of his cruiser, while the other officer reached and got Johnny and put him in the back of his cruiser. They then went into the house and found the bloody scene of Harry's body. Alrighty, guys, I hope you enjoyed that story. It was a story created by me. I'll get better as time goes on, but just kind of enjoy what I did. So, if you liked the video, go ahead and leave a like. If you want more like that, comment down below and subscribe. Turn on that notification bell and you'll see more. And the photo on the screen is the video that I posted.